Good morning, everybody. It's 11:30. We can go ahead and get started. I am Andy Coffin, and along with my colleagues here at WiLS, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us for the June 2019 Taco Tuesday. This series is held the first Tuesday of every other month as an opportunity for our members to connect with our vendor partners and learn about their products. These webinars are recorded and shared as segments following the presentations out to everybody who registered, and they're also posted to our website. We do break them into 15-minute segments, so they're easy for you to get to as you need them. We will send those out following the meeting. So during our presentation today, there will be a little bit of kind of technological magic going on as we switch between presenters. So do bear with us during those transitions. In addition, please make sure to avoid any kind of audio distractions, that your phone is muted if you dialed in and didn't enter an audio pin, or do enter that audio pin and then we'll be able to mute you if there are any noisies. All right, so moving on today, we're really excited to welcome our presenters. My slides don't want to advance. There we go. Today we have Liz Bondi from Gale Cengage Learning to talk about Small Business Builder Suite. Roy Soreo from BiblioBoard, who will be talking about Creator. We have Kirk Hall and Ed Morovic from AWE Learning. And we also have Amanda De Federici, who is from Credo. We'll be talking about the Credo Instruct Health Sciences product. So welcome everybody, and we're going to start today with Liz. I'm going to switch over the presenter mode to her so she can go ahead and tell us all about the Small Business Builder Suite, if I can find her on the list. There she is. Sorry, everybody. Like I said, this takes a second.
Okay, I think I have been made the presenter. Good morning, everyone. Elizabeth Bondi here, as Andy indicated, from Gale Cengage Learning. Can everybody hear me okay?
You sound great. Thanks, Liz.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we can see the screen, hopefully.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Excellent. So I wanted to just put this up really quickly. Some of you may recognize me. I have been with Gale since 2013. I actually covered Wisconsin a couple of years ago. So as I mentioned, some of you may recognize me. It's been a few years. My colleague, John Pellegrino, was recently covering Wisconsin, but as some of you may have heard, he is unfortunately undergoing his second round of chemotherapy. So he has had his travel quite restricted as a result of that. So I am excited to be working back with the state of Wisconsin again. I currently live in Toledo, Ohio, so I cover the states of Ohio, Illinois, and Wisconsin. So that is where I'm stationed today. So we're going to talk about how important it is for public libraries, as many of you know, supporting the entrepreneurship ecosystem and startups in the community. Many libraries are starting to build things into their strategic plans. Many of them have had them in their strategic plans for a while, but really focusing on community partnerships and how they are supporting economic development in the community as well. And so these statistics often surprise me. We know that small business is obviously very big. There are 28 million small businesses in America, and those 28 million businesses account for over 54% of all US sales. So over half of all sales in the country happen with small business. A recent Pew study indicated that 52% of Americans say that public libraries should definitely create programs for local businesses and entrepreneurs, and an additional 35% that they should maybe provide that support. So roughly 87% of the population thinks that that would be a great space for entrepreneurial support is through the public library. Many of you are probably already doing certain types of business programs. You probably have people coming in and asking questions, I have a business idea. How do I get started? Where do I go? What do I do? Many of you know that there are probably 47,000 different places that you can go to on the internet from a Google search that will give you, templates for creating a business plan. Unfortunately, they're not comprehensive. They often do not teach people how to do market research in the process of that. They don't really kind of help them fill in or put the meat on the bones of that plan in regard to consumer expenditure information or what type of information do I need to include in my marketing plan, et cetera. So a lot of times it's just kind of a skeleton, but not a lot of additional support. In addition, there are so many different places that they can go that it can be quite overwhelming and confusing for people. We also know that local businesses generate about 70% more local economic activity than the big box retailers. So spending $100 at an independent business equates to roughly $68 in local economic activity. So many of us are familiar with, Black Friday in November, and then we often talk about Small Business Saturday as well. So then if you look at that same $100 at a big box retailer, it equates to roughly $48 in local economic activity. So it's quite a difference in supporting small businesses versus large businesses, and how much of that money comes back to the local economy. The Small Business Administration talks about how a business plan is an essential roadmap for business success. If you are working with your current business community, people will come in and often they'll say that they want to start a business plan. And if you ask them, have you ever seen a business plan? The answer is typically no. And of course, they've probably never written a business plan before either, but it is certainly an essential part of creating a business and being successful in the future, is to really be able to flesh out and do that market research and really fill out that business plan, especially if they're planning to go to any type of bank or funding source to get funding to start that business. The Gale Small Business Builder was created to be a comprehensive tool that helps aspiring entrepreneurs and experienced small business owners, so people who are already in the business world. It can help them plan, start, or run their small business or nonprofit. And when we get into the tool, you'll see that there is a for-profit business track as well as a nonprofit track, so they can go in and follow the prompts and the steps to do either one of those. This is just a quick screenshot. We'll go into the tool in just a moment, but you'll see here where it talks about, if you're a new entrepreneur, this tool is for you. Whether you're an experienced business owner or you're a nonprofit, you have the ability to go in and get a step-by-step path through starting your business or nonprofit. The tool is meant to provide a guided path for users. So again, I mentioned, a lot of different places on the internet. There are many resources out in the community, whether it's the SBA or the SBDC. There are SCORE mentors. There's all kinds of different organizations in the community that can often help lead people in a certain direction. But even your SCORE mentors will say that it can be very confusing because there are so many different options and nothing is really, kind of a one-stop shop. And so with this tool, we designed it with that in mind, so that a user could come in from the very beginning phases or anywhere along this process and jump into this tool, input their information, and really be able to start their business as a result of it. And we've integrated this tool with several of our other Gale business resources into a larger business suite, so that if libraries subscribe to those other resources, the resources communicate with each other. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. So on this guided path, the first step is for this person to fill out what's called an entrepreneur profile. Is entrepreneurship right for me? I can't tell you how valuable this question is. As many of you know, often people will start a business and without identifying whether or not, they've got the chutzpah, if you will, to be a business owner, if they've got the family support, if they've got, the ability or the personality to kind of overcome obstacles and things like that in their life. Many businesses go out of business very quickly and they often don't know why. And so being able to help them flesh out, am I right for entrepreneurship, at the outset will save them a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in the future for not just them, but oftentimes their family and friends as well. The next step along this guided path is their business ideation, and that helps them to really get an understanding of, do I have an idea, and is that idea viable? Can I actually use this idea and turn it into some sort of product or service model? The third step along the process is called the break-even analysis, and this is one that is, I think, probably one of the critical steps in the process. At what point will my sales cover my expenses? Again, another reason that many librarians who work with the business community and even people at banks, et cetera, will tell you that oftentimes these businesses will go out of business because they didn't do a whole lot of financial projections or really getting an understanding of what are their cost of goods sold, what are their expenses, and will they be able to sell enough to exceed those expenses. And so because they haven't done enough of the kind of financial research on their type of business or service, it often will lead them to going out of business. And so this break-even analysis is an extremely important component to this tool. The fourth step in this process, you'll notice the business plan is not step number one. It's actually, we want you to go through these other steps before you get to the business plan, because a business plan can often take anywhere from 6 months to 18 months to really fully flesh out. I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago from a county economic development organization, and they actually had a banker on with them. They talked about how long it can actually take to write an effective business plan. And so this really helps them flesh out before they spend that time, effort, and energy into building a full business plan, really helping them understand what information will I need in order to put together to get that loan, whether it is from a bank or if it's some other type of angel investor or venture capitalist, et cetera. And the final phase of the Gale Small Business Builder is the financial projections. Now, this is different from the break-even analysis because this helps them identify what does my company's financial future look like. And so not only at what point will I break even, but then what does my business look like in 4 years from now, 5 years from now, et cetera, based on my sales and things like that. So the goal here is for this to really be a living, breathing document and path, something that they're going to log into on a regular basis to keep updating their numbers and help them see what the future of their company looks like as they continue to build it, to get started, and then to grow. I mentioned earlier integration. Because we have several other Gale business resources, when a library subscribes to the Gale Small Business Builder, if you have access to any of the other 3 resources in our business suite, that is Gale's Demographics Now, Business and People, our Small Business Resource Center, as well as Gale Legal Forms, there are over 400 action-oriented links from the Gale Small Business Builder into these other resources, and they're placed in the business planning workflow at the point of need. So when somebody gets to their business plan, for example, and they need to do market research and identify who are my competitors in the area, what are their sales, what are people currently spending on this type of product or service in the area, the Gale Small Business Builder will link them out to the resources that they need at that time to be able to get that information, to be able to pull that meat out of those resources and add it to the bones of the Gale Small Business Builder, if you will. So we've seamlessly integrated these resources for subscribing libraries. With that, I'd like to take a couple of moments to actually go into the Gale Small Business Builder. So as you all saw, this is the home screen here. So if a user is logging in for the very first time, they're going to click on this Get Started. They'll create their username and password, and they'll use that to sign in. Here is the dashboard the user will see when they log in. And I want to point out a couple of things that I think are really important. This language button here. We know that not every business owner out there speaks English as their native language. And so many of them do business in different languages. And so we built this into the tool for them to be able to translate the dashboard and the tool into whatever language they choose. You'll notice up at the top that these little guys, these little icons are color coded, and they will be white until that section of the tool is filled out. And so if we scroll down here, you'll see that each of these sections is complete because we are in the trial site here. So each of these little guys has turned green. The integrated resources are listed here as well. Again, Small Business Resource Center, Demographics Now, Legal Forms. This will be based on the other resources that a library may subscribe to. I want to just take a couple of moments to go through this entrepreneurial profile worksheet because we did talk about, what is this and why should I do it? This really helps the business owner to understand. It's designed to help you describe yourself as an entrepreneur in a one-page summary. You'll see this for each phase. So how does this work? Why should I do it? And where do I start? So it's really helping the user identify, why is this piece of the puzzle important to me? I'm going to go back to our dashboard. You'll notice that this is a coffee company. And you'll see this is listed as scenario 1. This actually gives the user the ability to create multiple scenarios. So in scenario 1, it may be that they're at one specific location with specific, products that they're going to be providing, whether it's coffee and espresso and, different bakery items. And then in scenario 2, maybe they're at a completely different location with a different type of rent. And maybe they're providing coffee and espresso, but instead of doing bakery items, they might do, lunch or dinner items. So different scenarios can be modeled out in here to help the user identify which one is going to be the most profitable, if you will, or which scenario is going to be the best one to go with. In each phase of this, you'll have a build your foundation as well as a keep building. So once you've built your foundation, you've done your entrepreneurial profile worksheet or other entrepreneurial profile resources here. So business ideas, these will link on, this is taken from the Gale Small Business Resource Center. So it's going to help them, get additional resources built automatically into the tool. So brainstorming a new business idea, brainstorming as a business tool, etc. So many of these, I believe there's somewhere around 80 to 90 links or additional resources that are built into the tool, regardless of whether you subscribe to any of the other integrated resources. But when you subscribe to the other resources, you can have up to over 400 links. So I just wanted to make that clear that some of these resources are automatically included. You've got your business ideation. I'm not sure if everyone here is familiar with a lean canvas. A lean canvas is really, it's a tool that most business owners and entrepreneurs are using at this point. It's an internationally recognized tool to help describe the business in a one-page summary. It was popularized in a book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and it's also something that is taught at many of the most popular and well-known business programs across the country. It is taught at the University of Chicago, which is a premier MBA program as well. So that is built into this tool. A lean canvas will help them get started. And then you'll see here with the break-even analysis, they'll be able to go in and input their information to help fill out this data to give them a visual representation as well. So you'll see here, how much will we be spending on payroll versus rent, communication, marketing, inventory, etc. This is a really neat feature here where if you click on this guide me, it almost becomes like a TurboTax of business plans. So it's going to help prompt the user to identify exactly what number they should be putting in each one of these boxes based on, standard business practices, recommendations about cost of living raises, etc. If your company is planning to grow, things like that. So it can guide them through the whole process. Once they've finished each of those, I'm going to go back to the dashboard here and I'm going to show you, here is their visual representation once they finish that break-even analysis with their expenses versus cost of goods sold. Now you'll notice, I think it's fiscal year 2020, so it would be this year for this business. You'll notice that their sales revenues and their costs have flip-flopped. So they've been profitable up to this point, but pretty soon here they're not going to be. And so what this will tell the entrepreneur or business owner is that they need to go back in and maybe reevaluate how many employees they have. Maybe they're not going to be able to sell as many products in the business. Maybe they need to lower their rent or find a new location. So it gives them a visual representation before they've gone in and done this of how quickly or how soon their business will be profitable or not profitable.
Liz, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Andy. We are at time right now.
Sure.
Can you do a wrap up in about a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. So just very quickly, I wanted to show you all, once they've completed their full business plan, they'll have the ability to see that full business plan here. So it's meant to be a step-by-step path to walk them through the business plan. They'll also have their financial projections listed here, so they can do an income sheet, a cash flow sheet, a balance sheet. They can export these, download as a CSV, email to any business partners, or maybe their business mentor if they're working with a SCORE mentor. They have the ability to email specific pieces of this to themselves or to someone they're in business with. Maybe it's their banker or whoever's doing their loans. And then they've got the ability to download different pieces as well. So again, just meant to be, helping the library position themselves as the go-to place in the community for somebody to come and get step-by-step support through planning, funding, and starting their business, as well as growing the business all the way through this living, breathing document. So with that, I will hand it back over to you, Andy. If anybody's got any questions, I'll put my contact information on the screen quickly. That's my cell phone number as well as my email address. Did any questions come in the chat, Andy?
Nope, no questions.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Liz. I just managed to close out of my presentation. All right. Well, thank you, Liz. And we'll be sure to share the contact information out to attendees if they wanted to follow up with any questions. So in the interest of time, thank you, I'm going to introduce Roy Sorreo from BiblioBoard. I'm super sorry that you're just seeing my Google screen. I lost my presentation because I managed to close out of it. from BiblioBoard, and he is going to talk to us today about Creator. I'm going to turn presenter over to him. And welcome, Roy. Roy, are you there? If you are, we are not able to hear you.
Oh, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you. And you
Oh,
should.
perfect. Sorry, it took me a while to get the audio set up.
No problem.
And is everybody seeing my screen? It should. I think it's taking a little. There's a little lag time. It's looking like. It should say create, share, discover on it. Let me know if that's popping up on
We
your
see
end.
it. Yep,
You
we've
see
got it.
create, share, discover.
Yep.
All right. Perfect. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks Andy for having me here today for Taco Tuesday. Um, Not sure if everybody has any kind of background on BiblioBoard. You do have some of our tools there now with our partnership with WiLS in the state for self-publishing, allowing authors to actually create their own ebook files from scratch through the library, completely free of charge, and then a tool that allows them to upload their books to be read there statewide. So you're currently doing some of the things with BiblioBoard there now in the state, but what I wanted to quickly show you with our time today is another tool called Creator that's more of a community publishing tool, and there's a lot of different ways libraries can do this to curate their own local digital collections. So let's see here. So basically, you know, what BiblioBoard is about is kind of giving libraries a way to become the creative hubs of their community. And just, you know, what we think is the future of libraries is, you know, is showcasing local content. And if you follow the, you know, libraries transform movement through ALA, what it's all kind of talked about is this transition that's starting to happen in libraries that, you know, instead of just asking what kind of content can I provide to my community, it's flipping that a little bit and saying, okay, what kind of content can the community provide to us? And let's give our local creators and community partners a way to actually upload their work to us, which the library can then curate and make available for patrons to be able to discover all of this local content by their community of authors, musicians, artists, local history, those sort of things. So that's exactly what this tool allows you to do. And you know, what we're able to do with this tool is we can, you know, conversate with other content management systems that you might have to pull material in. We're interoperable with OAI and PMH metadata standards. We work directly with the library to not only launch these programs and train staff and train the community, but to then market it and find community partners that might be, a good partner with the library to showcase content, whether it's a museum or a local historical society that you can then work together with to showcase this local material. And everything would end up on the BiblioBoard platform, which I'll show you at the end here. That is a simple patron user experience. Everything's unlimited simultaneous use. So there's no checkouts or waits or holds. We have the platform right now in Wisconsin geolocated through the entire state. So anybody physically in the state of Wisconsin would be able to access this material through our geolocation authentication service. So it's a really simple user experience with all of the mobile apps and, like I said, unlimited simultaneous use. What some of our library partners are using this creator tool for now are things like local historical projects. You know, if you already have your own archived, you know, digital material sitting on a computer somewhere, or maybe in a, like I said, a content management system, you can then make those available so that it's easily discoverable by the community, and you're actually getting usage and engagement with this local content instead of it just sitting someplace where it's, you know, being archived and preserved. But with another piece of this tool, we can actually build custom submission pages for the library to take the work out of the library's hands, where you're not the ones that are doing all of the digitizing and uploading and filling out all the metadata, but you can actually outsource that work to the community themselves. So you can have the local artists and musicians and photographers being able to actually, in a quick 5-minute process, upload the content directly to the library, taking that work out of the library hands, where then all you need to do is, at the library level, is just worry about how do we want this organized and how do we want this to look. So it takes that work out of the library's hands. And then you can also use this tool to highlight programs that you have in the library to try and get more participation and more engagement with the library. This community book publishing, this is something that you already have right now through the ebook creation and self-publishing tools, where you can actually use it with your local writing groups and do community book projects where different people are contributing to create an actual ebook or PDF file of the book that can then be published through the library. So part of the kind of workflow of this tool, so content can come in from a number of different places that you see kind of on this top level here. So with our custom submission pages that I mentioned, we can build as many of these pages to bring in work from the community themselves. So whether you want to do a project to bring in local art or local music, or gather local history from the community themselves, like oral histories and the community's historical photos and things like that. As I mentioned, we do have APIs built with Content DM and some other third-party repositories that we can communicate with and actually pull anything that you might have archived on a content management system. We can actually talk to those repositories and pull that material in to give it a better user experience to get discovered. And then anything that's being created by the library themselves in the library. If you have content just sitting on a computer somewhere, or if you have a maker space or any kind of digitization lab that you're actually having content created within the library itself, this can then also be pulled into the creator workflow. Once it's in there, we already have everything backed up and stored and archived and preserved in multiple places. So it solves that piece of the puzzle for you, where it is preserved and archived. But I think what the more important part that a lot of these content management systems are missing, that we think anyway is very important, is kind of the patron facing layer, where after everything's been brought into the library, it can then be curated out into these patron facing archives to be able to be discovered, and the library in the library community can actually engage and discover this local content and drive usage to the library of this local material through these different exhibits and archives that you're building with this local content coming in. So I wanted to show you just, in the last couple minutes I have here, just some examples of what other libraries have done with this tool. So this is our platform here. This is the BiblioBoard platform, which some of you might be familiar with. So this library did a local historical project where they had oral histories and all of these town images, archived images from the past and photos that they wanted to get out to the community and give them a way to actually engage with and discover that material. So it is, like I said, multimedia. So you can have images right next to audio, right next to video. But ultimately a patron can come in and click on the local zoo here. And my connection's running a little slow, so I do apologize, but ultimately the patron can now go through and look at all of these old historical images that the library had digitized of the zoo throughout the years. And when they click on it, it'll open up our image viewer, or if it's a audio file, it'll open up our audio streamer. But you can again zoom in, zoom out. So it just provides an easy user experience for the community to engage with all of this local content that you're building. And so it's not just sitting somewhere where nobody's able to actually find and discover that material. We've had libraries do really cool projects with oral histories. So this library here went around and actually interviewed seniors in town and just uploaded the full video file, so patrons can go in and just start watching these video interviews of seniors around town, basically telling their life story right here on BiblioBoard. So as you can see, it just opens up the video player, which you can then just start streaming these video interviews from the seniors around town. So it really opens up a lot of opportunity for what the library can do creatively there in the library. But the other thing I did mention was kind of taking the work out of the library's hands, where you're not the one that's responsible for digitizing them and uploading and filling out the metadata. You can definitely use it that way for anything you are building in-house or that you do have sitting somewhere else on another repository. But what's really, I think, great about this tool is a way to, basically outsource that work. So what we can do with this tool is build any number of these custom submission pages. We do all the design work for these pages, working directly hand in hand with the library. So it looks exactly how you want, but it's custom graphics and custom language and custom images here, basically explaining the project. And the library can now do this for any kind of projects there, whether you want to do a poetry contest to accept submissions, or let's find the best piece of art in our community, or in this case, let's do a call out to local musicians and give them another outlet to find a new fan through the library. And what the musician or artist or whoever it may be can do is then just click submit your digital items, and it'll bring them to this quick and easy submission process where they can basically fill out 5 quick steps and just upload their work directly into the library. Now, nothing goes live until the library actually gives it a QA check and then decides to curate it out and hit OK to publish. But what they do, they just accept the terms and they maintain all of the rights to their work. They upload their file, whether it's an image or video, an audio file, a text file. They can upload that to the library, fill out some basic information and metadata, which we use to generate MARC records. So you will get MARC records for everything being created locally. And then they're done. And then the content goes directly into this creator tool where the library then has all this content ready-made for them that you can just decide how you want curated. So in the case of that music project there, you can decide you want it curated by genre of music or by album or by band, whatever the case may be. But I'll show you the end result for that St. Louis music project, because ultimately a patron is able to just then go in and just start streaming music from these local musicians around town. And for the musician or for the artist, whoever, just gives them a way to just market their work. They might not want to upload every song from each of their albums, but use this as a marketing tool where they can upload just a few tracks from each album, find a new fan through the library, and then lead them to their website where they can purchase the album to hear the rest of the songs, or to their tour schedule, so they can find out where this band is playing next locally. But I'll just quickly show you kind of how the streamer works. But everything's kind of handled right all on our platform, so it's a one-stop shop for all media. So you click on listen, and it'll just open up this media player where they can now go through and listen to all this local music being submitted to the library from these local musicians. But yeah, so it could be music. We have libraries doing collections for art. So here's one where you can gather local art. So you can see different image here at the top. Different language, obviously explain to the community what you're launching. We've had libraries do cookbook collections where you're basically crowdsourcing recipes from the community and putting together a local cookbook that people can now go in and start building meals out of. So definitely the possibilities for what you can do with this tool are endless. You can be as creative as you want. You can have as many of these custom pages running at the same time, so you can launch all of these types of different local community publishing projects. So as you can see, it can really be used for a lot of things, whether it's local history that you already have in the library being digitized, or other projects with content you have sitting on another repository, or these here, which you can get really creative and start launching these other types of community publishing projects and let the community submit the content to you. So that pretty much is a quick overview of the tool. Didn't know if we were going to open it up to questions, or if you, Andy, were just going to kind of send out my contact information. If anybody does have questions of how it works, I can definitely address those in a one-off.
We could do both. Let's, does anybody have questions right now? Feel free to unmute and ask Roy if you have any questions about Creator. All right, well, we will send your contact information out, Roy, and then if people do have questions, they can follow up with you, or if I get any, I'll forward them along. But thanks so much for
Awesome,
sharing.
perfect. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Excellent, thank you. So next, we're going to move on to hearing from Kirk Hall and Ed Moravec of AWE Learning. Thank you both for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and make Ed the presenter. Excellent.
This is Kirk Hall. We're going to break this into 3 parts today. I'm going to present a little bit about AWE Learning, the history with WiLS as a partnership in a cooperative, and also a little bit about an AWE overview. Very happy to be here today. We'll have a question and answer time period here at the end, and have some fun today. And then secondly, Ed will present 21st century skills. What I'd like to do is just start out with a little bit of an overview for you about AWE and our history. As you can see, we've been in business for more than 2 decades and launched our flagship for the Early Literacy Station in 2002. Growth has been very exceptional. In fact, with your participation as well as others, we're the leading provider of early literacy solutions in the United States. We are fortunate to have 13,000 locations, which is basically almost half of the United States, and have sold over 28,000 workstations in partnership with just public libraries. And what we're really proud of is we've got over 400 million learning hours recorded for those that have recorded their usage through our portal. As I mentioned, WiLS and AWE have got a good partnership. It started in 2007. There was a really good period in about 2012, as Sarah illustrated to me, Sarah Gold. And we have 65 locations of current WiLS members, and have they purchased from us in partnership 226 units in the past, and there's 188 current active units right now. The important thing for us is that we have got a new relationship right now, which we're very excited about, the pricing and benefits to the members, so that historically the pricing was based on some time of year when a lot of people got together and made a purchase. Now it's all year long, the best possible prices, and WiLS members get better pricing than others in Wisconsin, for example. So for the last couple of years, we've not had a new product to introduce, and we're very excited now to have a new product that we listen to our customers. We have heard what they had to say, and we've taken into account, and we have brought out a new product. We call the product Platinum. This is what the patrons see when they first come in. It's very easy for those that are young to have fun with this. They're attracted to the colorful keyboard and to the children's mouse and the touch screen, and they seem to figure out quickly what to do. Early Literacy Station is for children that are about the ages of 3 to 8 or a little above, and After School Edge is for kids that are from the ages of 5 to 12 or elementary. Just to give you a quick idea of what makes us special and how we work, it's a very safe environment. It's SIPA accredited, so there's no need for the internet. There's usage metrics for that part of our brain in the library situation that wants to know what how much is being used. You can see the streams of kids standing there. And then it's very easy to use so that it's quick for young learners to adapt and work well. The main thing that we notice, it's time tested. Most of our customers are new customers are from existing customers replacing or adding to. Since they don't wear out very often, it's often adding to or after a good lifetime of usage. This is our stream alignment. You notice we have added reading and arts to the STEM to match with school and what our libraries have told us. And this is our content partners. Just to mention a few things here, some of you would know Bernstein Bears, Little Monsters, Yellow Door you'll see there. On the new Platinum, we have arranged some new content, for example, on coding for kids, several programs, Cyber Safety by Garfield, for those that are just initiating into the world of cyber safety, and then writing skills in cursive. So I'm going to turn it over to our national director, who is my mentor, and his name is Ed Moravec. Take it away, Ed.
Thanks, Kurt. And hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well, having a great day. Thank you so much for the time today. That was a little bit of a AWE infomercial, and we're happy to share some details a little bit further. But I think what's more important than just who we are, what we do, how we do it, our relationships, which you guys have been part of for such a long period of time, is why we do it. And really, it's impacting readiness and early literacy. We'd like to say that we try to impact the world one patron at a time. Our market, which is specific to the public library market, we know our niche there. That's why we're the 48% of the market share. But what's important to us is not only impacting early literacy and making a difference in the skill sets of individuals, but it's helping you with some really critical things that are happening today and that need to happen, which is obviously increasing your patron base. So the more people that we can help you get through the door, potentially for other services and support areas, it's to help you continue to have an outstanding relationship within the community and to improve that community relations any which way we can by offering additional capabilities for the patrons. It's potentially expanding your donor leadership. So areas where you're looking to get donations from, early literacy is a good area. People, it's something that's near and dear to them. It pulls on the heartstrings, but it's so critical in today's, especially when we start talking about 21st century skills. And that's the last piece, is how can we help you to be able to deliver and support 21st century skills and what's going to be needed moving forward, because we know that's such an interesting initiative. And it kind of, that impact, and it kind of slides right in. The reason that we do things are because of some things that are happening today, regardless of your community in the US. Some things, and this is really out of facts from literacy and that are happening today, 65% of fourth graders are reading at or below their basic level, which is obviously alarming. And more than 8,000 students, I found this one just unbelievable, more than 8,000 students are quitting high school every day. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of support that they may have, not just at their schools, but in their community potentially, but equally important and unfortunate at home. So what you guys do day in and day out and the resources that you provide are so critical to changing some of those numbers. And it shows in the last line alone, if somebody just goes from being able to finish high school, there's almost over $500 million income over the course of their lifetime that they're able to achieve just by being a high school graduate versus a dropout. And it really starts at the youngest and the basic levels. We team with our libraries, as Kirk mentioned. We have over 13,000 of them, and many of them are under the WiLS umbrella. And we really are looking moving forward to help and say, okay, if the 21st century skills is something that libraries need to be focused in on, and skill sets, how could we help continue to drive those? Where should be the effort and energy? And that's around everything from critical thinking, creative, being innovative, visual literacy, enhancing cognitive skills. It has gone, and basic literacy. I will share with this, and I don't want to talk futures, but it has gone in our world to the point where we've looked at our early literacy programs and said, is this time for us to start looking and working with libraries on adult literacy? And obviously it wouldn't be on the same solutions or workstations that the children's are, but how can we impact, and especially if we start looking at Alzheimer's, dementias, those type of individuals, and how can we help them with their cognitive skills to potentially slow that process down? And it all funnels into these skill sets that are here with the 21st century skills. So libraries today, kind of what may they do? And we really look at us as a partnership. We like to share best practices. We have an advocacy group where we'll a couple of times a year do surveys, have meetings. It's not a high time commitment, but we're able to take and learn and share that with others. What you tell us is what our products become, areas we focus in on, what we need to provide. And at the end of the day, it's a couple of things that hopefully is occurring within your sectors in marketplace, and hopefully we're a big part of that, which is making libraries kind of more of an experience for lifelong learning and really focused around the 21st century skill sets. It's being able to build awareness in the community about the values of the libraries and some of the unique things that are offered, like early literacy programs. There's so much emphasis and energy today that's put on, and it's really a competitive areas, right? That's put on workforce development, K-12 educational circles. But all of those and a lot of the successes that happen in those areas stem from how well it happens and supported early in the early literacy programs. Or a big growing area in the US today, and it may be in your markets, is homeschooling. How do you handle those individuals that come in and need additional support, resources, and so forth? And then it's the last piece, which we support with our library partnerships, is to be able to support models that are evolving today. And these models are becoming kind of non-routine. They're more focused on interactive capability, learning centered. They're more about lifelong learning. They're more about hands-on versus necessarily just book learning and things along. So be able to have multiple resources to basically enhance all different skill sets and all different levels of an individual. So in summary, if you're thinking about with partnering, we'd love to talk to you further how we can help support you. It's really, again, about early literacy programs, what they mean to your community, how they're going to help impact the community, how we're going to be able to help impact you in terms of getting additional individuals and patrons through the door, improving your donor leadership program. It's a consistent institutional vision and focus on the 21st century skills, and some of them which are, for example, built into our systems and our new Platinum that Kirk talked about, like coding, cybersecurity, which are really important. It's about having resources also available to you, and we become an extension for you. For example, we have a grant writer on staff. That's a resource that's available to help you during the time when it comes to writing grants and so forth. That's a free resource to you. It's about expanding capabilities for the homeschoolers, as I mentioned earlier, and there's some specific programs and design that are for the homeschoolers. And then equally important, it's to provide a safe environment for kids to learn, to explore. We've won awards for cybersecurity. That's allow us to partner with our libraries to make sure that their patrons are in a safe environment and they don't have to worry. And then the last thing I have highlighted there is we truly believe and continue to talk about partnerships. And part of that is we have an advocacy group. We're always looking to expand that. So anybody who's interested in wanting to make a difference, wanting to share best practices, wanting to learn best practices from some others, it's not a huge time commitment. It's a few hours over the course of the year. There may be 1 or 2 surveys that are sent that are pretty simple, but it allows you to be part of something which we feel is a little bit bigger, and at the end of the day, it goes back to that mantra, which is just how do you impact the world one patron at a time, and how do you impact a child at the earliest stages to be able to be the best they can be, and giving them an opportunity through your valuable resources and through our partnership together to be able to be fully functioning students and hopefully to be college and career ready when the time comes. So Kirk is your direct contact. He is out there on a regular basis. He works very close with your organization and the Andreas of the worlds and the Saras of the worlds and you individually. So here is his email. I believe it's also going to be posted up on the website. And if there's anything else that we can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thanks, Ed. Kirk.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any
You're
questions?
welcome.
All right, great. Well, we'll make sure to share your contact information. Thanks to both of you for your time today.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, nope. So moving on, we are going to hear from Amanda De Federici from Credo talking about the Instruct Health Sciences product. I'm going to make her presenter.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you so much. I will try to be brief. As Andy said, my name is Amanda De Federici. I'm a product manager and an instructional librarian for Credo Reference, and I'm very excited to share our newest product offering with you today called Instruct Health Science. All of our Instruct products are designed to help librarians expand their teaching of information literacy skills and devote more time during your instruction to high impact practices. So I've been with Credo now for 5 years. I came from a university library where I was really focused on instruction, and I joined right about the time we launched our first information literacy product that was designed to help librarians teach IL skills to undergraduate students in general education. And almost immediately we were asked, do you have something for nursing students? Do you have something for the health sciences? I experienced some of that when I was in libraries supporting a nursing program. My very first job was to catalog a new nursing collection. So I sort of understood that pain. It was very hard, especially with those nursing and health science students, to just make sure they got a good foundation in information literacy with the very strict cohort schedule that they had to stick to and the limited time that I had with them. So, knowing that face time is limited, you maybe get a one-shot session with those students in your first semester, and that's it. Or some librarians are beginning to become embedded in courses where they get to see those students multiple times in one semester. Even fewer librarians are embedded throughout an entire cohort, so they're seeing the students multiple times as they progress through their studies. But we know from the research that in order for students to master information literacy skills, they need that repeated progressive instruction throughout their courses that increases in complexity over time, so that as their needs for information become more sophisticated, so is the instruction that's keeping up with them. So to make this work, many librarians are turning to a flipped class strategy, where they're shifting the lecture portion of their instruction over to online learning objects and devoting their time face-to-face with students to focus on doing some hands-on learning, authentic practice, and going deeper into information literacy to get to the valuable aspects. And where we see librarians succeeding with this, it's really done a couple of things to make their instruction more effective. Students are retaining more because they are doing hands-on work rather than passively just listening to instruction. Students have more time to absorb concepts because you're having a chance to repeat them and go deeper and actually have discussions about them. We're also hearing that librarians are able to build better relationships with faculty because they're able to show that, information literacy is more than just go here and search the website. There's a lot more to it, a lot more value there. And it's a good opening to become something like an embedded librarian, to say, hey, let's collaborate on your next research assignment. Let's make this really great. And I think you're going to see good results from your students. And there's a lot of research out there also to show that students who receive information literacy instruction have better outcomes in general with graduation, persistence, and GPA. So our Instruct products support that flipped class model by allowing you to choose from a library of instructional materials and use them wherever instruction is taking place. And I'm going to skip over now to my actual course where you should be seeing our platform. This is the early adopter version of our health sciences product. I'll go into a little bit more detail about our timeline for the full release at the end. But getting back to how we support the flipped class model, each of these tutorials and quizzes can be embedded on your library website or your LibGuides, if that's where your instructors are sending students to learn about how to do research. It can be integrated into your learning management system. So when students go to their online class, they see these materials there along with their required reading for that week. When they're embedded into the learning management system, any assessments that the students take sync with that LMS gradebook so that the students can see their grades and the instructors can see their grades. Each of these pieces has a different link, so you can mix and match. If one instructor really cares about PICO, but others are, would rather you focus on evidence-based practice, that's totally fine. You can mix and match to your heart's content to fit what's best for the needs of that class. And on a similar note, there's a lot of content here. You don't have to use all of this in one setting. It's really intended to it's a library for you to choose from. Even though it's laid out in this way in this organization, that's rarely how our libraries that we partner with actually use the product. So again, this is the early adopter version. We have 4 sections of material here around health resources, where we're covering some of the most common databases that students will be using, and explaining, not just a training on how to use this database, but how to use this database to approach a particular assignment, or what's the value of this database, more than just how to click through it and find things. We also have material on using the PICO method, how to read and understand a scholarly article in the health sciences, and then a fairly large section on evidence-based practice and why it's important. So I'm going to take a quick second and show you an example of one of the tutorials. Each tutorial is roughly about 15 minutes long. There's a mixture of text and images, and we also have very brief videos embedded within them. I'll come back to the videos in just a moment to tell you a little bit more about them. And throughout these tutorials, we have checkpoint questions. These are ungraded formative assessments where students can immediately practice something that they've learned in the tutorial and have an opportunity to get it right, get it wrong, learn, and then keep going. We use a mixture of different types of questions here. This is a matching question where you're dragging and dropping things around. We have multiple choice questions, and we even have some open response questions where a student is given a prompt and they can write a couple sentences or a very short paragraph to either reflect on their learning, or sometimes this is a great place where we send a student out to one of your databases to look for something, then come back and reflect on it. So again, this is all intended to be learning assessments, not necessarily something you're grading the student on. Coming back to the video, the videos that you see embedded in the tutorials are very brief. These are anywhere from 30 minutes to sometimes 30 seconds to maybe 90 seconds, never longer than 2 minutes. And we use these videos as a storytelling element to present the concepts that the student's learning in a real world context. So in this example, this young woman is working in a clinic and she is going to use the PICO method to help her solve a problem. I'm going to jump to a different video because sometimes we also use video to teach just visually if it's easier, especially when you're doing screen captures of databases. It's much easier just to show it than to type all of that out and have students read it. Our video player has a couple of interesting features. There is a running transcript along the side that can be turned off if students find that distracting, but it is helpful for some learners who do better with text than visuals. Of course, we have closed captions, and our platform, the video player included, is ADA compliant. So we're happy to share our VPAD information if you're curious about that. And another interesting feature of the video player is that you can slow down or speed up the video itself. So for students who either have a learning disability or English is a second language for them, this is an opportunity to just take it down a notch and absorb it a little bit more slowly. Jumping over now to a quiz. Each of the 4 sections has a quiz associated with it, and this is pulling from a bank of questions at random. So students sitting beside each other would not get the same quiz to help with academic integrity there. When a student answers a question, they get immediate feedback as to whether that question was correct or incorrect and why. So even though we're grading them here in a quiz, we're still using this as a teaching moment. The attempts here, quiz questions are limited to 1 attempt as a default, but that can be changed if you want to give students more attempts to get the answer correct. And after the student has taken a quiz, you're going to see an option here where the student can get their score. And what this does is gives the student an option to email this to themselves or to an instructor. They can see a breakdown of how they did on their quiz. I did very poorly because I wasn't actually reading the questions just now. But you can see how I performed there. So this is a good option, you know, if you're not doing a learning management system integration, for the student to at least have a record of their grades. But if you were integrating this into Blackboard or Canvas or Moodle, you would not need that. The grade book would sync and your student and your instructor would be able to see the grades. I mentioned earlier that you can customize these questions, and the way that you do that is, I'm going to come back here to my tutorial. Go to any page of content and you're going to see an option to view unit in Studio. This is an back-end editing platform that allows you to customize the content. So anything that is text-based or image-based can be changed. So that includes the tutorials, the quiz questions, the answer feedback the students get on quiz questions. All of that can be customized for your students. And you're going to see a row of options that should look pretty familiar. You know, we see these in email, or if you do any, like if you've used a blogging interface before, it's your typical WYSIWYG editor. You can also add your own content if you want to add an additional text box or additional problems, or if you have a video that you think, hey, this would be great right here in this spot in the tutorial, you can certainly, if you have an embed code or a URL for it, you can add it here as well. And that comes with the product. The only thing you cannot edit are the video files themselves, because they're created and they've been hosted somewhere. In addition to the content, I want to show you a couple quick things about the platform itself. Coming over to my instructor tab here, I have a lot of different options, but I'm just going to show you 2. The link constructor is where you get all of those links to embed the material into your learning management system or your library website. So it's very easy. You just add your proxy. It gets automatically added to the links below, and you can then copy each of these individually if you're mixing and matching, or you can just export them all to Excel and share them with your instructors that way. And if you are looking for data on usage and assessment data, how did my students perform, you can come to our Insights platform. That'll authenticate you right over. And what I'm showing here is our assessment report. We also have a usage report where you can see how the multimedia was being utilized. But here with the assessment report, you can use the left side panel to view the assessment data at different levels, all the way down to the answer level. You can do a lot of comparisons by term, by course, by instructor. And you can also filter down your data as well using all of this, these options over here. anytime you make a change here in the left panel, this chart is going to automatically update and refresh to show the data you've selected. And you can save this image and take it with you if you want to put it into a report you're building, or you can also just download the data itself as a CSV file and put it into whatever systems you're using. Maybe you want to combine that with some data from your institutional effectiveness office. So thank you for hanging in there. That was a very whirlwind tour, but I am happy to answer any questions. And I did just want to let you know that, as I mentioned, we are in the early adopter phase now. There is a, we are offering a discount, but we hope to launch the full product in the fall of this year with additional content. So I'm just going to leave this up here on screen so you can see some of the additional things that are coming in the fall. And at this point, I'm just happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Amanda.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate your time. And again, I'll be sure to send along any questions that we get, as well as your contact information. Great. Well, thanks everybody for attending today. That wraps up our June 2019 Taco Tuesday. Be sure to reach out to any of your cooperative purchasing liaisons directly with any questions, or you can send an email to coop@WiLS.org, and we'll be sure to get your questions answered, get you connected with any of today's presenters, or get you any information about the products that we heard about today. Also, quickly before you go, I wanted to let you know that next month's Taco Tuesday is going to be kind of held at a weird time. Instead of the first Tuesday of the month, it's going to be the second on July 9th. This is a potluck edition, so this is more of a conversation with WiLS members about various products. And next month's Taco Tuesday is going to focus on SkyRiver, which is Innovative Interfaces Cataloging Utility. So you'll hear from some users across the state that are using it, and a couple who have been watching it very closely to hear about their experiences. So be sure to visit wils.org/Taco Tuesday to register to attend that. And thank you everybody for your time. I appreciate it, and look for the recordings to be sent out soon. Thank you.